Main takeaway that I've truly gotten from this office over the past few years is honestly just the power of confidence in a room and in a dialogue. So through facilitation, ultimately, I, I mean, personally, like in high school, I was always pretty talkative, but I was always a little insecure about like the way I presented myself and the topics that I discussed. And so after coming to campus and being hired as a leadership mentor, I actually feel like I am now more confident and am able to properly articulate myself. And it's really nice because you can see your personal growth like throughout your time here. So I specifically remember last year, I was placed, or I was like decided to help run this mousetrap facilitation we normally have. So for instance, it's basically a trust building activity where you start out with a wooden mousetrap, and by the end of it, you will be able to set it and unset it blindfolded. And then also have a partner set it and unset it in your hands while you're blindfolded. So it's a really great exercise. And at first, like it sounded really terrifying. And I never had actually led it myself. However, my partner had, this was his first facilitation ever. And so it was really inspiring for me as someone who hadn't done this before, but felt comfortable facilitating, being able to help guide him through and see his confidence ultimately grow as we like worked on it together. And that consisted of like talking for 2 hours just over our plan, making sure he felt confident and we both knew what we were going to do. And I still talk to him to this day. He's like one of my really good friends. And I just think back on that and it made me recognize that even if I am uncomfortable in my abilities, I'm still able to ultimately see growth of myself and of others through this position, which I feel like is something really impactful and is a great thing to start doing your first year. Because for me, it happened my junior year when I started to really put things together. But I think this particular program is going to be really good because you can start getting all of that information and wrapping yourself up your first year. So that's kind of my story and why I live and breathe the Office of Experiential Education. And I will pass it off to Izzy next.
Hi again, everyone. Sorry, I'm on my phone because I'm not at home. But yeah, working for Grab has given me so many different things in my like personal and kind of professional life. And I think kind of like Sam mentioned, the confidence that being a part of this program and leading groups and facilitating, experiences for English classes with professors has just it's just given me such a jumping off point for the rest of my career and the rest of my life that I don't think I would have had any other way. And I think one kind of key experience for me, like Sam said, where I was able to really see my growth was last year. We did an all-staff backpacking trip. So we went down to North Carolina for our spring break and did an awesome trip down in the Pisgah National Forest. And I was able to be the leader of the day for one of the days. And at the end of the day, to kind of see how much my confidence in myself and also my abilities had changed since my first year was just amazing, especially because I was able to be with people who had seen me, graduating seniors had seen me at the very beginning of my first year. So they were able to kind of give me feedback on how I had grown to and where I could still improve. And that was just such a gift for me that I will, keep with me forever. And yeah, I think the confidence in myself is something that's been so huge in this experience. And also not only that, but I've also gained so many amazing friendships. And I think the people that kind of end up being a part of this program and being a part of this office are really special people. So I really commend you all for being here tonight. And I'm so excited to get to know you more. And I will pass it off to Laura.
Thanks, Izzy. So hi everyone again. My name's Laura, and I did the leadership certificate with the GLC when I was a first year. I know a few of you mentioned that you were involved in that program, which is super lit. It's so fun. Um, and then after my first year, I applied for the leadership mentor position and ultimately became a leadership mentor my sophomore year at Gettysburg. And through GLC and the experiential education office, I have acquired a lot of facilitation skills and experiences in a variety of different settings. So some of that includes like working one-on-one with other students as a learning group leader in the leadership certificate program. I've worked with a lot of different groups, whether that's sports teams, different organizations on campus, first year seminars, things like that through our group development programs with small groups. And then on the larger scale, I've helped run bigger facilitations at events with like up to 100 people, such as our Emerging Leaders Retreat at the GLC. And I've benefited a great deal from my facilitation experience in experiential education. Um, some of that includes like enhancing my listening, my communication, and my public speaking skills. But overall, like Izzy and Sam have both mentioned, my confidence with leading and working with others has just improved like astronomically. Like you guys both kind of hit the nail on the head with that when you spoke. But yeah, like facilitating just allows you to gain such a different type of confidence that it's different from like presenting or public speaking in other ways. And I think that's super meaningful. Um, and another thing I'll talk about is that facilitation skills are applicable to so many different things. Like once you know how to facilitate, whether that's for GLC or for the grab staff, you can take those skills and do whatever you want with them. So, kind of to demonstrate that outside of the GLC, I'm also the vice president of member education for my sorority on campus, Delta Gamma. And when I joined DG my sophomore year at Gettysburg, I would never have thought I would have applied for a leadership position. I was like, not super committed to my sorority as like other people were. However, as I gained like that confidence and that other experience, like from being involved in experiential education, I further developed like my facilitation abilities to the point where I felt confident to apply for this vice president position. And ultimately, now what I do for my sorority is I organize and educate up to the 80 members of my chapter. And I specialize with facilitating our 27 new member class, our 27 new members in our new member class. So that involves me facilitating weekly educational meetings with them. And that is a skill that I got directly from working from experiential education. So it's kind of like these skills that you would accumulate through this fellowship or through anything else that you're involved in with GLC or Grab. They are things that you can take with you to other programs or other organizations on campus or your life beyond Gettysburg. So overall, I think that good facilitation enhances collaboration, engagement, and participation in different aspects, and it can really have a positive impact on someone's personal experience. So I know, like, kind of to wrap up my little spiel, like through all of this experience I've gained with facilitating, now I know that I can go into a facilitation and really make a difference and positively impact someone else, which is super cool and probably one of my favorite parts about working at the GLC. With that being said, I will pass it on to Aiden.
Hey guys, so I'm Aiden again, I'm a senior. So one thing that I noticed is a lot of you guys mentioned you're here to develop your leadership, and that's actually why I got into the GLC as well. I really enjoyed starting off with, I started off with the leadership certificate. I started my sophomore year, and then I jumped over to being an intern with the GLC over the summer, right after I did the leadership certificate. And then since then I've worked as an office assistant. So while I haven't been a leadership mentor or anything involved in Grab specifically, I've actually worked really closely with both groups and have gotten some cool experiences as a substitute leadership mentor. I worked with Paul to facilitate a few different groups over the summer, and it was really, really cool to not only engage with students that were working with facilitation, but also adults within the experiential or within the gift office, and within a program, another summer program. So we got to facilitate those. But my main experience that I often bring up is one that was actually unplanned. We had been performing interviews for the Creativity and Innovation Lab. And the first day we went, and Andy led the meeting, and we had a nice interview. And then the second day we had a different interview, and I went, and I was the only one that had been to the first meeting and the second meeting. So no one knew what questions to ask to the second interviewer. And so what I did was I said, well, I was at the first one. I'll replicate what we did in the first one. I stepped up and I led that. And that confidence that I had from that was definitely given to me through the GLC experience that I had. And it actually went really smoothly, surprising to even myself. And I was really excited to have that experience and just like know that I could do that and feel confident and that I could step up. So I definitely am excited to have you guys all be here and can answer any other questions that you guys have. Now I'll jump it over to Haley.
Awesome, thank you. So hi, my name is Haley again, and I work for Grab staff. And so something I want to talk to you guys about is something that I'm sad that you weren't able to participate in as participants, but something that's exciting is that you can, through this, still participate in the future when things are a little bit more back to normal as a facilitator. So it's something that we call Ascent, which is like a pre-orientation trip you may have heard of, you may have been interested in, I don't know, but I participated in it my freshman year, like going into college. I went on a backpacking trip in Shenandoah National Park. Beautiful, so much fun. And our facilitators on that trip were two upperclassmen that were a part of Grab, and they have made such an impact on my life. They did in those like 5 days in the woods because they were incredible facilitators. They did such a great job with our group that I'm still really good friends with two of the people in this like random group of 7 students on campus. One of them has been my roommate since freshman year. So really cool thing that facilitation can do. It can create such like meaningful and long lasting memories, as well as like really important and special friendships, as well as a sense of community. And Izzy sort of touched on that when she was speaking, but I know like specifically for Grab, but I've also certainly witnessed it for the GLC. It's such like a tight group of people because you have so many special shared experiences, which is something that I think is pretty unique to Gettysburg College in the way that it exists in Grab and GLC. And like some of my best friends probably for my life have been found in Grab, which I think is really, really cool. And you're able to do meaningful work with people that share your passion for giving back to the campus community, as well as like particularly for Grab being outside. And I think that that's like the most special and amazing and incredible thing. And I'm so excited that you guys are even a little bit thinking about being interested in it. And I'm excited to get to know you all more. And I'm excited for all the things that you guys will be able to do if you choose to be a part of it, which I really hope you do. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Hey, thanks, Haley, and thanks to Laura, Aiden, Izzy, and Sam for sharing your stories. Before we do anything else, does anyone have any questions that you'd like to bring to the group right now? You know, we have talked about lots of different experiences and lots of different roles. Before we dive deeper into the fellowship, I just want to provide an opportunity for a question you can put in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and share a question with the group. Okay, well, I am not seeing any questions, which is fine, and we'll certainly come back to that. So now, the moment we've all been waiting for, Mr. Paul Miller, would you share a little bit about the fellowship and tell us a little bit about it?
Great, thanks, Andy, and thank you all for your patience. I know you've been on Zoom calls all day, so we're almost there. What you've just heard are all examples of facilitation. You heard of a number of different roles. You heard of Grab staff, which are our outdoor leaders, folks that lead groups all over the country into backcountry wilderness environments where most people don't get to go. They lead groups there. Leadership mentors, the staff that run the leadership certificate, do retreats for students to ask questions around who am I, what are my strengths, and then also our office assistants that support and come beside all the work that we do. And the common thread in all these different programs and opportunities is that we work with groups. And working with groups is complicated because groups are formed of lots of different individuals. So I'm excited that you're excited enough to show up on this call to potentially be part of this fellowship. What I want to do right now is review a document that you may or may not have seen. I'm going to put the link to it in the chat. So if you want to open it up and have control over the document and not follow along, that's fine. I'm also going to share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about as I talk about it. So give me just 1 second here to find the right window. This is not working. Awesome. So we are going to share Google Chrome Unknown, and hopefully this won't be embarrassing. Let's find out. So if someone can let me know what you see. Hold on, now I have to share. I just got a new computer today, so this is a lot of fun. And I'm having to figure out how to change my security preferences. Okay, so hopefully now, share screen. Thanks for your patience. There we go. Okay. So you should be able to see now something that says Group Facilitation Fellowship. And I see lots of people are in this document, which is great. Thanks, Sam, for the feedback. So we're going to be looking at page 2. Page 1 is kind of the big picture overview. Essentially, we want to teach students on campus how to help groups. That's the core of facilitation. It's service. It's helping a group of individuals come together around a common purpose and be more productive and be more successful. We facilitate, we help. Many of you may be interested in doing that as part of our team. Some of you may be interested in learning the skills with us and using that in another group setting on campus. You are all welcome. We're glad you're here. What I want to cover is more of the nuts and the bolts of the experience. So if you scroll down to page 2, there are 2 kind of core experience chunks. The first is really focusing on who you are in the context of a group. It's going to help you identify your strengths, the value that you bring in a group setting, and we're going to do that through a few different experiences. One of those experiences is working through Strengths Quest, and if you do this with the leadership certificate, you won't need to duplicate it here. But really the meat of this experience is going to be a day-long challenge course experience with the group. You're going to get to know who's in the group. You're going to learn each other's strengths. You're going to learn to work each other, practice communication skills, and have a concrete experience that we can then use as we talk about and as we unpack what's happening in a group when you're working with a group. So the first is an experience you just get to show up and experience it. We'll have you reflect a little bit before and a little bit after. You'll come out of that with a lot of increased self-awareness. The next big chunk of the fellowship experience is what we call the basics of group facilitation. There's going to be 2 different practical learning sessions. The first is another all-day Saturday event. Some of that's going to be indoors, some of it's going to be outdoors, some of it's going to be on the challenge course. But the key is what we're going to do is unpack the art and science of working with groups. Some of the topics that we're going to cover are covered, but the reality is groups follow certain behavioral patterns. They're predictable. And we want to teach you some of the things, what I call the truths of groups that are consistent, whether you're working with a group of 10 or working with a group of 100, whether you're working with a group of kindergartners or you're working with a group of adults. There are consistent things that we can teach you that will help you work with any group that you come across. You'll also get experience and you'll learn how to facilitate a group through a problem-solving challenge, how to set it up in a way that the group will understand it and be able to learn from it. And we're also going to teach you how to facilitate some of the low elements out on the challenge course that you could potentially use if you join our staff, or if not, you'll be able to think about how to manage risk. You'll be able to think about how do I make sure everyone is included in a group's process. So those are the 2 shared core experiences that everyone that's part of the fellowship will have. We then have a third area of the experience. It's going to be optional. We highly encourage folks to participate in it. And it's for folks that are interested in learning how to lead groups in an outdoor, far away context. So whether that's in the woods or on a river or on the side of a mountain, These are for folks that are interested in leading groups in outdoor leadership. Here, there's going to be, again, 3 chunks. There's going to be 2 Wednesday night meetings where we teach a lot of skills. And this is to bring everyone onto the same page. You may know some skills, you may not have any experience at all. That's okay. What we're trying to do is provide common language and teach you the way that we think about practicing outdoor leadership in the context of Gettysburg College. And then what we're really, really excited about is the culminating experience for the outdoor leadership component is a 2-night overnight backpacking trip that we have permission to take and to go off campus. It's the last weekend you're going to be here, but it's basically we're going to leave Friday afternoon, come back first thing Sunday morning, and you'll have an opportunity to put all of your skills to the test in a real life, probably pretty chilly environment. And again, let me just name that whether you have lots of experience in the outdoors or no experience, you've never slept outside, you've never gone for a hike, all are welcome, and this fellowship is appropriate for all. So that's a really quick high-level overview of the fellowship experience. All of this is starting with an application process. So the applications are due this coming Thursday, and then we're going to have group interviews where we'll come into a shared space and experience life as a group together through an interview process. And then we'll be notifying selected individuals on Friday the 23rd. So it's going to be really, really fast. I'm glad you're here tonight because this is a great time to learn about the experience. Okay, I want to pause. We've talked a lot. Now it's your turn to interact a bit. I want you to look through this document. You can look at my screen, and I want you to put a word or a phrase into the chat that sticks out to you. What jumps off the page? Maybe there's a repeated word you see a couple times. Maybe there's a word that just has significance to you. Just throw one word or one short phrase into the chat. Make sure to send it to everyone. And this is just going to help us start to interact with this information a bit more. Okay, I see challenge, reflection, outdoor, experience, strengths, group, practical, yes, learning. Everything we do, there's an opportunity for learning. Thanks, Mia. We'll give folks a couple more seconds to review the document. And I'm going to scroll down here a bit in case you want to see what's below. Design, leadership, strength, again, yep. Facilitating. Again, that word just means to help. It means to help a group move towards a common purpose, to make things easier for a group of people. Values, yep. Good. So those are some repeated words. When you look at this, this document, what are some concepts that excite you? And to do this, I actually want to send you into breakout rooms. Andy, if you can help with this, if you can send us into random breakout rooms, we're only going to be in these breakout rooms for about a minute and a half. So it's going to be really fast. I just want you to share with whomever you're with one thing that excites you about this fellowship. Andy, whenever you're ready, go ahead and send us off and come back whenever you're finished. So one thing that excites you about this fellowship. Andy, you're still muted.
Okay, I'm going to do about 2 minutes.
Sounds good.
Great. Here we go.
Hello, I can go first, just to rapid fire. I'm really excited about the outdoor leadership skills and what that means for group facilitation.
I have similar ideas to the outdoor leadership skills, and also learning new skills and meeting new people.
Great, thanks Joshua, thanks Ash.
I'm kind of excited about like learning how to be more of a effective leader and just kind of like building this family or like this like a safe place where I know like, you know, I have people to fall back on and just make more friends. So
great, thank you. And I'm excited that this is the first time we're delivering this content in 4 weeks. Normally we do it over the course of a semester, and we've tried it a couple different ways, but COVID is putting a barrier and putting some challenges in front of us, that this is the best way to do it. So I'm excited to explore this with you all. Are there any questions, since we're in a small group and I can probably give you good information that folks have that you might warm up in this group that you can ask again in the large group, because other folks probably have the same questions?
So when it says the outdoor skills thing is optional, what exactly does that mean? Is there like a specific thing that we have to go through in order to be able to do that? How does that work within the actual program?
Yeah, great question, Ash. So feel free to ask that question again in the larger room. So we're gonna invite 10 to 12 folks into the fellowship experience, maybe up to 14, because Andy and I just hate saying no to anybody. And then from those folks, we don't assume that everyone wants to apply these skills in an outdoor setting. So we want to make sure that there's a balance of folks that are interested in applying them in more traditional leadership development settings and folks that are interested in the outdoor settings. So after the second week, really after that challenge course experience, we're going to ask folks to say, hey, do you want to do the outdoor leadership add-on, or do you want to skip that? And then folks will be able to self-select.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's head back to the main room because I'm afraid we won't have any other time.
Getting off campus for camping.
Good.
Okay, looks like we have most everybody back. Yep. Okay, so now I want to ask you a question. As you consider the fellowship, what's going to keep you from being successful, right? So what would be an implication of saying yes to this opportunity? And I'd love for folks to be brave and just unmute themselves and shout out. We have multiple screens of people, so I won't even try to call on you. But if you can just be brave, unmute yourself and just share an idea or concept, what's going to keep you from being successful if you say yes to this? What are some challenges here?
I think like one of the main ones for a lot of like just students in general is definitely going to be laziness and procrastination, because like sometimes it's like it's easy to say yes to something, but then actually doing it, it's like really tough. So definitely that could be one of the things holding you back.
Amen, Lorraine. Thank you for your honesty. I so appreciate that. What else?
Yeah, kind of going. Oh,
go ahead. No, you can go.
Okay. Just kind of going off of that, just feeling overwhelmed because we already have a bunch of work to do and maybe involved in other things. So that could be just another thing to add to your plate. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, just like if we have like new experiences, like whether it's on the challenge course or like discussions in the classroom, like willing to be vulnerable and accept that we don't know everything, or like it's like a totally new environment and new skills. So just being open to learning new things altogether.
I think it would have to be like our own self. Like I feel like a lot of people, when they get in a different environment, they get uncomfortable. And something that I learned over the past years is like you have to learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So
yeah, one of the things that if I have a couple catchphrases about facilitation, one is lean into the awkward. Lean into the awkward, because that's what the group needs from you. So absolutely. There will be lots of opportunities for everyone in the fellowship to practice being uncomfortable. Maybe one or two more implications. If you say yes to this, what are going to be some challenges?
Time management from other classes and study, stuff like that.
Yeah. If you haven't noticed, we have attached a small financial award. And the idea with that is if you need to reduce hours at an on-campus job, if you need to spend money to eat out so you don't have to make a meal or find a way to have this educational experience, that's a little thing. We recognize that. And we would ask you to consider all of your commitments, because we've tried to lay out the times and the commitments and exactly how long things are going to take. That's our best guess, right? It could be a little bit more. It's probably not going to be a little bit less. So definitely think critically about how you would fit all of this into your schedule to make sure you can give it your all. The last thing we'd want is for you to get halfway through and feel like you can't do it because you've overcommitted. So feel free to talk more with us, hang out on the call, ask questions, make sure you understand what you're committing to so that you can be successful. Okay, I think that's where I want to pause and open it up for questions. So Andy, I'm going to pass it back to you to facilitate this final part of the process.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, hopefully you have a better sense of not just the details of the fellowship, but some idea of what it means to be a group leader and a group facilitator here at Gettysburg. And, we've heard some great stories from our current student leaders, and we've even talked about some of the implications of being a part of this group and this team and this fellowship. So what I said at the beginning of this session was we wanted you to lead or leave with the information you need to make a decision. So this is a great opportunity for you to ask any additional questions that might help you get the information you need. So are there any final questions?
I do have one question, and just about like when you guys are talking about like connecting, like is it just like within like a group, or is it also like maybe going to like see other like jobs like a doctor or something, or like having speakers come or something like that? Like just iterate a little bit on.
Yeah, Lorraine. So what I heard in that question is, what are some of the components of the training meetings? What do you do in those sessions? Is that right? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, basically like who else are we gonna, like, is it just connecting within our group, or like is it like more broad, like other places, like, or other like people to like kind of make our connection web broad?
That's a great question. Would someone from the fellowship team like to respond to that, particularly around, yeah, what does the group experience look like there?
I can start off. So typically for the group experience, I think it's a really good way to get to know the intimate group, because you guys will be learning so much together and ultimately spending a lot of time together through like these excursions and a lot of reflection together, which ultimately just brings you closer. So primarily like the connection is through each other. However, the good thing about this is through facilitation, you'll actually be able to connect with people in classes as well, if you decide to continue on with learning about facilitation and applying to like one of our offices afterwards.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Great question, Lorraine. Any other questions from the group? Okay. Well, what I wouldn't mind asking the current grab staff and LMs to do, if you feel comfortable, is just to put your email address in the chat so folks can reach out to you individually if they have specific questions. I think that's one thing we like to pride ourselves in, is being accessible to you all to make sure that you have the information you need. One final reminder is that the application is due October 15th. And if someone wouldn't mind putting the application link in the chat too, so that folks have access to that, that would be wonderful. And I'm going to ask for this. So if you wouldn't mind, if you feel like you have the information you need to make a decision, please give us a thumbs up. Fantastic. Thank you all. Well, have a wonderful evening. We hope to be reading your application soon, and wishing you the best this fine week. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a lovely night.
Thank you, Brandon.
You.
Gang, gang.
Go
Well
team.
done. Thank you all.